What's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 5 of NoTv. This episode is called Stay Plugged In. I'm your host, Brittany.
And your co-host, Kwesi got him. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing out there?
Welcome back, y'all. Super excited to be here. A little tired, you know. Look at Kwesi looking mad tired over there.
I've been working for sure. I've been working for that man. You know what I mean? But I've been getting in the groove. I've been producing a little bit here and there too. So feeling fresh.
Nice. For sure. Well, I'm super excited about today's episode. We got a lot of cool things that we're discussing. First off, we're gonna do a really dope album review. I'm gonna keep the album that we're reviewing a secret just for now. But we're doing a dope album review. We got some new emerging artists that I want to touch on. Kwesi has some music tech info that he's going to share with us. And then we have a really interesting interview that we did with DaFingaz regarding VST plugins. So I'm super excited about today's episode. Kwesi, let's just dive right in. All right. So, album we're reviewing today is none other than Kendrick Lamar, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, hopefully we can stay on time because I
know
this, man.
I know. You know, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since Kendrick has blessed us with the project. You know, obviously he showed up on Keem's album a few times. Both of those songs, Family Ties and Range Brothers, are like bops to me. I go crazy whenever.
Top 5, smoking on top 5. He turned into a whole cartoon character. Smoking on top 5s.
Yeah, dog, I was super excited to see him on that. So, yeah, what was your overall reaction to the project? What did you think about the features? Let's just chop it up.
Let's get into it. Well, first of all, it's been what? Damn was released what?
Damn was 2016?
That was 2016?
I think it was 2016. We do a quick fact check, but I'm pretty sure it was 2016.
Yeah, quick fact check on that because I'm 2017, April 14th, 2017.
2017. See? Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Still a long time.
That's still a while.
That's still a long time.
That's half a decade. Well, you know, and honestly, sometimes when you rise like a meteor, or rise like a meteor, right? When you have that meteoric kind of like you step onto the scene and you literally shoot for the top, which Kendrick did nonstop. He put out so many projects and got so much respect from the hip hop community from beginning all the way to where he was at. I feel like he deserved 5 years to be like,
oh yeah, you can take that break.
Yeah, he's like, let me
take that break.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, man's definitely put himself up there in one of the at least top 10 hip hop greats on a general level, arguably, you know what I'm saying, top 5, but he's smoking on top 5s.
I mean, he's definitely on some people's Mount Rushmore of rappers for sure.
Yeah. So, you know, with this project, man, it's really hard to hear this level of honesty and willingness to be vulnerable in the public eye in hip hop. As you know, as anyone who could be vulnerable on the track, like when you're that good and you've been around and you got your stripes, to still do that is, you know what I'm saying? It's like he's giving I was telling he's giving us, he ain't giving us what we want. He's giving us what we need and he needs.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It was so you definitely felt the growth of the album. He touched on a lot of topics that I feel like I don't even want to say just in the Black community, but just in the society, we are uh not comfortable discussing
Yeah.
uh whether that's, queerness, whether that's toxicity in relationships, whether that's generational trauma, whether that's addiction, whether that's transitioning. We don't as a society, these aren't things that we're comfortable stepping on a step stool and shouting from the rooftops like, "Hey, I'm going through this," or "I did that too." You know what I'm saying? And I think especially as an artist, to have such a big platform like that and to have created albums in the past that don't necessarily tap into that all the way like that, this was like a huge 180. This was a
Right.
huge, huge 180. And um, I think my first reaction, honestly, of this album, I was very proud. I was very proud. Definitely shocked because it was
Shocked.
something shocked in the sense of it was some realness in that, and you don't always think that everyone, especially celebrities, sometimes, right? You For some reason we hold them on this high pedestal and think that they don't always go through the things that we go through or have to deal with some of the things that we went through. And so some of the things that he discussed, initially when I first heard it, I was like, oh shit, damn, you know what I'm saying? But then I'm like, dog, that's real. Like this is life. This happens every day. Every day, B. He's a human too, you know? So yeah, it was definitely some like shock, but like I was also, like I said, I was super proud and just how he put this all together. Um
Right.
it was a double disc.
Yeah, a lot of music. You know, Kendrick got a lot of music. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like there's so much. You saying it like you're proud. And that's such a that's a dope reaction to it. Emotionally, because I mean that's one thing I think I've always felt with Kendrick. I always felt proud. Like I felt proud of an artist being able to move in on the popular arena, but yet stay so true. It reminds you of the underground. Like he stays real down to earth. It's like you could tell
Mhm.
in his music that he stays in touch with himself.
Right.
A lot of people lose themselves to the industry. A lot of people lose themselves, you know, to the lifestyles. But Kendrick, for some reason, somehow just you can feel that he's really making that effort to stay grounded in his records, and it's like it's well appreciated, and you can hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah,
What's
so go
what's
ahead.
the first song, and it doesn't have to necessarily be your favorite song, so I know we're gonna touch on that a little later, but what are some of the songs that, like, when you first heard them, it stood out to you, like, "Whoa,
Ah,
whoa."
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. All right. I mean, we gonna get into it, but we gonna get
Yeah.
into it. We Cry Together was
Let's
probably
talk
the one
about it. Let's talk about it, because that's the one I was hoping you would say.
we like to
That song made
go.
so many people uncomfortable, and it feels weird to say I love that song, because I mean, that's a heavy song.
It's a
That's a
heavy,
heavy song.
yeah.
But I love that song. Like, I felt like there was so much truth to that. There was so much realness in the argument. Like, these are everyday arguments that are happening in people's homes that we don't necessarily realize, but like you could be having them, I could be having them, so and so could be having them. And then it's just like that was tough. That was tough to listen to. Definitely gave me like Kim vibes from Eminem. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? That song with like I definitely kind of felt that, but it was, instead of it being like artist to favorite fan, because that's what the artist was writing to Eminem, who he was a big fan of, or Stan, I should say.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was it was between Kendrick and his girl, presumed
Mhm.
girl. So Taylor Page, which she killed this song,
Oh
by the
yeah.
way. She like
Oh, yeah, she definitely. I remember I was driving from the Bay down to LA. I was like, I got time, and that song came on, and I was like, all right, I'm about to just pull over real quick. I'm about to pull over. Just I gotta really give this my full attention. There was other. I was like, nah, let me pull. I pulled over to like the shopping center. It happened to be on the weekend, so like there's a lot of families going by. I was bumping it loud. I was like, let me turn this thing down real quick. They're gonna think,
Yeah.
they're gonna think.
It's definitely one of those ones, like I said, it's like one of my favorite tracks. Now, am I putting that on play like at the kickback? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? But like I appreciate the work that he put into that song. I
Right.
appreciate the realness of it. And I
Yeah,
appreciate how uncomfortable it makes people feel. I do. I like that about the song. Like I like that some people like feel like they have to turn it off. Like
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
why. It's just funny to me.
It's probably triggering, right? Because they probably have been either in a relationship like that or experienced parents that have been in a relationship like that. The toxicity, the craziest thing about it was there's so much social commentary on it, and that's why it was so um uh it really blew up. A lot of
Triggering.
people talked about it, right?
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about this record though, it reminded me of old school lyrics lounge, like with most that like when they used to rap out
Mm.
skits and everything would rhyme, but it would be like they were talking. Like
Yeah.
there's a musical, it's kind of like a musical, but it's a it's the hip hopper kind of thing, like
Yeah.
and but specifically with this track, it was done so well, but it was done so well it landed on Billboard,
Right.
right?
That
You
was
saw that
weird. That
article,
was
right?
weird. And then like it had the biggest fall too. I think like the next week it like fell dramatically and everyone was like, "Well, duh."
It's a historic fall. It's like
Yeah.
no, but that became the story instead of
It,
the fact that it made it to Billboard.
right.
People
Exactly.
like ain't
Exactly.
that? It's like they'll try to point out the history of how far you fell instead of how you even got to the top of the
Got on there in
first.
the first place. Yeah.
It's like, and that's for me. I'm like, that shows you how great that record is to the point where it's landing on Billboard. Of course, it's gonna drop because ain't nobody finna DJ and spin that.
At the club,
Like,
exactly. Like no one, not even the club, because I don't know if people go to the club still, but like at any social event, you know what I'm saying? Like there, that's just not. I really feel like there were a lot of people out there who like this is the song they skip. You know what I'm saying? Now, like now when you
yeah,
listen to Kendrick's album, like this is like there's usually I don't know, sometimes one or two songs on an album that usually I hear it the first time and I'm like, that song's not for me. This is still a fire project. And once I get to that song, I usually just skip it. But like this is
right.
that song for a lot of people.
For like,
Like,
yeah,
I don't ever be driving down the street and hearing this blasting in any cars. Like, I just don't feel like people are playing this,
it,
and that's obviously why it fell, but
right. Be like, yo, is this domestic violence going on? This is my vehicle right
I
now.
know when I listen to it, I definitely, like, look around and see, like, are people looking at me? Like, do they think, like,
Yeah,
"What is she listening to?"
in there
Like
bobbing her head hella hard, like, yo, what?
yeah.
Snapping the words too. Like, I'll be like, what? She don't
Ah, funny,
love this song.
funny.
No, yeah. Well, it's one of many. I think he reached. There was a lot of culture shifting joints. You know what I mean? Auntie Diaries, uh,
Mm,
Father Time, like speaking of that, just speaking to things that are real to the common human being, and it's like, man, I usually records are like kind of like escapism, but I don't want to escape all the time. I need something to like literally like, yo, speak to my soul too. Like really spit some stuff. Use your skill to execute something masterfully. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And like sometimes artists just, they get their paycheck. They do that, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? They get a bopping beat, they rap, they do their thing, they spit their thing, and then you know what I mean? It's like a lot of it's pretty much self boastful. I mean, it's hip hop. You got to tell us how nice you is and what you do, how you live, where you came from. But when you tell a story and have a dialogue, like that's when it's like true art, right? Art
Right.
invites you into that conversation. You go to a museum, you see a really dope painting, it'll invite you in to really reflect and point out things. It opens the door. So I mean, I feel like there was a lot of records on here that did that. Um, what was landing for you, Brito
So
Nicole?
in regards to tracks or in regards to just like the overall. So one thing I do want to touch on, and I don't know if you noticed this. Did you peep the tap dancing sound
At the
effects
end?
throughout it was kind of throughout the album. It was
Yeah,
throughout the album.
right.
What did that set off anything for you? Did that bring any awareness to anything?
Yeah, I mean, well, I did hear it coming through. I have to listen again. See
Mhm.
that's another thing. You got to listen to
No,
Kendrick's
yeah.
albums more
So
than one.
someone brought this to my attention. I read it somewhere, and then it's what made me go back, and then I kind of put my own spin on it. But it just also, again, kind of takes it back to the realism of this album, um, and it's kind of represents. I guess the tapping is supposed to represent: are you tap dancing through your bullshit?
Mm.
Are you keeping it real? Or are you just tap
Shucking and
dancing,
jiving.
shucking and jiving, tap dancing around being your true self? And I feel like that kind of goes back to what we talked about Kendrick just really opening up on this album and showing us his true self. And so it's, I feel like when this first came out, there were some mixed reviews. Like most people liked it. Most people liked it, and then you're gonna have some people who honestly don't like it because everything's not for everyone. And then there's gonna be other people who don't know why they don't like it, but they just wanna be like, "I don't like that." You know? And I
Right.
and I think that kinda speaks, in my opinion, a little bit to those people. Like, are you tapping in with your real self?
Mm.
Is this album that sparking something in you that you don't wanna accept it for what it is because it's making you look at yourself a certain way and feel a certain way about certain things? Is he
Preach.
uncovering is he uncovering some things about himself that you kind of talk shit on, talk bad on, right? But now your favorite rapper, this is him, he's revealing himself to you, and now you're like, I don't like this album." So, I just thought that was an interesting take, and,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
that's a yo. That's fire. That's fire. I mean, it is called Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. So
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? It's the big steppers. So hearing tap dancing, hearing people stepping and tap dancing, he even said at the end of We Cry Together, stop dancing around the
Dancing around the bullshit.
conversation. Yeah,
Yeah,
around the conversation, like have a real conversation.
yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's actually a really great perspective. One of the things that it reminded me of too was, Kendrick is what 30, 34, right? Hip hop's been alive for like 40 some years, right? And Jay-Z, one of the one of like the early greats. I mean, the level of deep vulnerability and honesty that he had on 444,
Mhm.
right, was something that you could see. It was like it felt like hip hop was maturing, right?
Right.
And he spoke, he was clear about expressing about therapy, right? And
Mhm.
going to therapy and getting a deeper sense of himself. Same thing Kendrick's doing, at a younger age for this generation, right? Like
Yep.
he's been a voice for a generation, but he keeps opening up specifically too to the fact that he's opening up to himself. Like he's digging deep and going within himself. It's not about the outward expression, and that's something like people will always expect. But it's amazing when you do that and you listen to it when you need it, right?
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
probably want people probably want to escape right now. People been inside.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like everyone wanted that. I feel like everyone now is just craving that, like, rage. Like, no one wants to sit down with their thoughts. Like you said, we wanna be outside. Everybody's been sitting down with their thoughts for the past 2.5 years. Don't nobody wanna be in their head anymore. Don't nobody wanna be in their house. Everyone wants to be out and, be in the streets. Be outside. I'm outside.
Outside in these streets.
But he definitely put out a project that made you think, and it
Yeah.
made you sit with your thoughts. What'd you think about the overall, like the production of it?
Oh man. Okay. So yeah, of course it's top line productions. Like I mean, Kendrick's always had the illest beats at his disposal. But one of the
Mhm.
things with Kendrick, he can take a beat to the next level because his voice is an instrument.
Yeah.
Like just the way he approaches his sonic delivery, it sounds like an instrument, and he just happened to be saying words. It's like an
He can
instrument
he can literally rap over anything, like any
ain't he?
beat. I
And
loved the soul, the funk, like there was a lot of that in this, and it was very mature. It was a very
yeah,
mature produced album, in my opinion.
yeah, Yeah, he stepped in. Well, oh, let's zoom into the top 5. What's your top 5 records? You got them?
So we talking top 5 overall albums, right? Or are we doing top 5 or top 3, excuse me, records
Okay,
from this out? Which one are you gonna do
let's
first?
let's start off with all right, top 5 Kendrick albums in general, and then we'll land on the top 5 of this record. So
Of this album.
of this out, yeah, of this album.
Okay.
This
All right. So I'll go first. I'll go first with my number 5. So we'll go
mm,
5 to 1. I'm gonna do mine and then you do yours. So we'll just keep going back and forth and
okay.
just kind of share. You can maybe share some of your favorite tracks off the album you're about to say. You can maybe why you like it, why you don't, whatever.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
So
Okay.
my number 5 is Untitled Unmastered.
Mm, okay.
I like this album a lot. I wish it had more tracks to it. It was only an 8-track album, which isn't bad. Like there's nothing, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, but just compared to a lot of his other projects, I wish it was a little longer. But he has some dope songs on here. I thought it was interesting the way, I mean, it says it in the title, Untitled, Unmastered, but like the way that everything is, the tracks are named, like they don't have any names. It's
Right.
literally Untitled '03, Untitled '02, Untitled '04 with a date on it. So
Right.
I always thought that was interesting because I'm like, what? Why didn't we get titles for these? Like, I think it's Untitled '07, which I love that song. Like, Levitate.
Mm,
Could we not call that, or was it like? Did it have another meaning? Like, did you not? Was this Is this unfinished? Was it unfinished for a reason?
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I had a lot of
There's so many
questions. I had
questions.
so many questions about this album, and I really, really liked it, but it always felt a little unfinished to me. And I feel like if it had more of these things into it, like if it had the titles, if it was a little longer, maybe it would have gotten a little more respect because when people talk about their favorite Kendrick albums, no one really says this album.
Mm,
And I feel like it doesn't necessarily get the respect it deserves. Um, but I wonder if it's because it's Untitled Unmastered.
mm. Hey, that's a hell of a perspective, yo. But I feel that. Okay, but it made your top 5.
But it
It
made
was
my
that
top 5. It made my top 5, yeah. And he has
okay,
more than he has more than 5 albums out. So there were
okay,
some albums that have names that I'm not gonna name, but that have names that, you know, could have been there, but they're not because this is a good album. This is a
okay,
good album.
okay.
It's a solid project.
Okay, my fifth, I'll say is overly. I mean, it doesn't count as an album, but I'm gonna just. It's just one of Ken's best works, and
Okay.
overly dedicated. That
Mm.
feel like
Okay.
that's where I first. That's when I first heard. That's when I first paid attention to Kendrick. I mean, he had some dope freestyles. He was dropping videos. I was down here in the IE. From the Bay to the IE, and I was hearing a lot about him. Right, Dom
Yeah.
Kennedy, Nipsey. During that time frame, it was like a lot of Ab. So TDE was like that was early TDE, and so like yeah, Schoolboy J, all of them. They was like, Stevie Crooks, a lot of folks that was collaborating. Curtis King was also rocking with them.
Mhm.
Like it was just such an era, and overly dedicated was such a masterfully like done. Like I mean, Ali on the mixing, like it was crazy what overly dedicated did, and like the type of records he had on there. It just I don't know. It took him to 10. I really everyone was like, okay, this this
Yeah.
kid got it. Like he know how to balance doing jazz, doing like radio records, doing street record. Like he could. It's like you could tell he could juggle. So for me, that was my 5.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
solid, solid.
what's your 4? What's 4?
All
Okay,
right. So
me and the
this is
group.
crazy. This is crazy. This is my 4 because so my 4 is To Pimp a Butterfly. That's
Mm,
my 4.
that's your 4.
And
Okay.
it's interesting because when this album first came out, I didn't like it. I said I didn't like it. I listened to it. Uh there were some tracks on there that I liked, but it wasn't a project that I went back and like reheard, right? But there were singles on there that I loved. I think King Kunta is probably top two, and I'm only saying top two because there could be one more song that could go head to head with that, but top two Kendrick songs out there. King Kunta is a monster. That
That's a
song is a
must.
monster. And I think my lack of I think I said that I didn't like this album at the time that it came out because at the time it came out, I wasn't in a space where I could appreciate this album. This album came out in what, 2015, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a lot going on in 2015. Like that was for me personally, I was in law school. I mean, you can just end it right there. But like I was, I was in law school. I had graduated from Howard, going to a predominantly white law school. So that was just a big change. In the South, there was so much stuff going on in the world. Trayvon Martin, so many, it was just obviously Black people have been being murdered, but it was being brought more to the public eye. And he touched a lot on that in this album, and at the time, like, I was mad. I was mad, and I
Right.
felt like this album was kind of trying to not make it okay at all, but just kinda put you in a better space about it,
Mm.
and I wasn't trying to be in that better space. I was trying to be mad.
Mm.
I was like, "Man, I wanna be mad." Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think
That's why Yeezus hit so hard for you, huh?
yeah, no, for real. That's really because I
Facts.
was just trying to march around like, So yeah. So, I so I think I wasn't ready for To Pimp a Butterfly when it came out. I
Okay.
don't think that I was ready for To Pimp a Butterfly. And so I didn't listen to it for a while. And
Mm.
then I went back quite recently. I'll
Mm.
admit, like quite recently. And I was like, this album is amazing. Like this is I didn't realize like all right. Institutionalized. I love Snoop on that song. Like
Yeah.
he has like 4 lines, but like there I was like, this is just all the production behind it, so much jazz, so much
Oh,
soul. Goes
yeah.
back to what we spoke about earlier with just him being able to really rap over like any type of beat because his vocals and his voice can just kind of blend well with like a lot of different sounds. There were a lot of different sounds on that album, and it's a really, really, really fine body of work. Like a really fine body of work. And I think I can appreciate it now because I'm in a different space
Right. Yup.
now than when
Okay.
I was. So yeah, that's my
Okay.
4.
Okay, that's your 4. That's your 4.
Yeah.
All right, for sure. All right, this is gonna sound crazy, but my fourth is Damn.
What?
Yeah,
Dog.
my fourth. It
Dog.
made it to my top 5.
Explain.
It made it to
It
my top
made
5.
it top 5?
It made
Explain
my top
yourself.
5 for sure. Yeah, yeah. Da-
Explain yourself.
Damn, damn is storytelling. It was another masterfully put together Kung Fu Kenny getting back into that hip hop feeling. It felt like a mixtape again, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was the production on there. Come on, DNA. Come on, like it's just eh, it it took you there. It was one of those records that it reminded me of it makes me wonder like what he was going through and where his state of mind was because he told such an amazing story with Damn, and there was so many different Reddits like, dude, you can play it backwards and it's
Mhm.
literally a completely different experience. Oh, you can play it in this track list. They'll mix it around and you
I
can
love that
actually
about
tell
that.
different stories. Like it has
Yeah.
so many different stories hidden within it if you listen to the track list in different sequences, right? And so to me, I'm like, yo, that takes a lot of creative, uh, a lot of creative genius, like not even talent, but creative genius, to be able to make songs that are modular and when paired together, they can tell different stories.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. So, but to me, it was like I think, and then again, it's probably like me too in my position where I was at the time. Like it was a record that I played back to back, and I mean all the tracks on there are just are fire. It's
Mhm.
very introspective and at the same time. But yeah, it lands on my 4 because I got some other
You
gorillas and
got
there's
some heat.
reasons.
You just okay.
There's
Yeah,
reasons
I
for my
got you.
you know what I mean? Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Okay, what's your third?
All
What's your
right.
third?
So my third is Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers.
Mm.
And I actually I kind of thought again after going back and re-listening to Pimp a Butterfly, I think this is kind of like an elevation of that album a little bit.
Uh,
Um I think that in my opinion was like the first time that I saw a little bit more mature Kenny
mm,
Kendrick.
mhm.
And
Right.
I think that this is another album where you like, "Nah, my name's Kendrick, not Kenny."
Mm,
Like, this is a mature album, you know what I'm saying?
mhm.
And, yeah, so this was and honestly, this is what made me go back to listen to Pimp a Butterfly. 'Cause
Uh,
someone was like, "Well, how do you like this if you don't like that?" And I'm like, "I didn't like that shit. Like, what do you mean?" And then I went back and I was like, "Well, damn, I look dumb." Damn.
yeah.
But yeah, Mr. I like I said, like we already kind of covered, all the reasons why I think this album is great. So I'm not even gonna kind of backtrack on that too much. But
Okay.
yeah, it's my
Okay.
number three.
Alright, cool, cool. My number 3, um, it's a it's a tie. I'm sorry I had to do this.
Oh, come on.
I can't even.
All
I'm
right,
sorry.
let's get it. Let's see what the tie is.
I got a tie for 3.
All right.
It's a tie between Section 80 and Good Kid, Mad City.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, it's a tie. It's a tie for me. I mean, Section 80 was so unique for the time, like what it did to, as far as giving insight to what it was like, you know, growing up in Southern California, ripping and running in these streets, you know what I'm saying? And just do like living a young life and just
Mhm.
doing you, but at the same time trying to like do better and trying to kind of create a tribe and trying to create like a future, like high power. Like he was envisioning a future where he could really live through the music and through his action, the 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 kind of grit and the focus of the revolutionaries of the past. Like he was talking about Bobby Seale, he was talking about Martin Luther, he was talking about, you know what I mean? Like he was really trying to create this sonic aesthetic that was really like that inspired the next generation, and I was definitely inspired by it. I was like, yo, he was telling a story. This is a movie, and then it's like I felt like he expanded on that with Good Kid, Mad City. I feel like
Yeah.
he dove all the way into it. You know what I mean? Like, but I can't say one without saying the other, only because it's like, yo, without Section 80, I don't think he would have had the chops enough to really push Good Kid, Mad City, because Section 80 was like, oh, okay, you're getting somewhere, and then he just upped it up to 10 with Good Kid, Mad City. So it's tied for 3 for me. I'm sorry. I had to do that.
All
Uh,
right. All right. That's cool.
what's
That's
up?
cool. That's cool. All right. My number two is Damn. My number
Mm,
two is Damn.
mm,
For a couple reasons. I'm very big on music. To me, I always think back when stuff is released, like where I am in life, and like that really affects how I listen to music, how I take it in, like all of that. I mean, we saw with To Pimp a Butterfly, I was going through a lot. So, like, that wasn't it, right?
mhm.
Damn was a great time. Damn was like fire. Damn was a great time, like in my life. Like I was just like, I was out there, I was like living. I felt like this was really Kendrick's like Talk Your Shit album. Like I feel like
Mm,
he came out in like DNA, Element, Humble. I remember going and watching him perform these live and just being like, he is like the stage presence, you know what I'm saying? The energy, the crowd, like it was just I was just like I felt like my soul like leaving and just hovering over everyone and looking down like, "Dog, he's killing this shit." Like and every like this is just a really I also like you said, it told a story. I loved how you can break it down, listen to it backwards. Duckworth was such a great
mm,
song to me. Like and
yeah.
I remember
Amazing
I
record.
remember, like, cause I didn't listen to it. I don't ever listen to albums like, well, I take that back. Kid Cudi, I will listen to it like at 12 o'clock when it drops. Okay, but
Okay.
usually I like wait until I get to my car to like listen to Kendrick. And I remember everyone talking about Duckworth. Like I remember reading about it before I started listening to the album. Everyone like hyping it up, and I'm looking and I'm like, this is the last song of the album, you know? So I'm like halfway trying to like, I'm excited to get to that. So I'm like, my excitement, I'm like halfway listening to this, like halfway like, God, I can't wait to get to Duckworth. But then I'm listening to this, like, these are great songs. Like, how is everyone not talking about these songs? Duckworth.
Duckworth.
Like the story in that song itself, just about his dad and how he moved out here from Chicago and like how like homie almost shot up the Popeyes or whatever the store he was at and, like, didn't like, I just really, like,
History.
love that
History
song.
in that record. He
Like,
left it on the record. He told a story.
I thought that was so beautifully done, and,
Yeah.
yeah, I just thought this whole project, I just love the whole project. Loyalty with Rihanna, like, I feel like that was probably the last time we might ever we may
I
not
don't
ever be blessed with a Rihanna.
I
Forget about an album, just a feature like that again, you know what I'm saying? So, be grateful. That was history, we
hey,
might not
hey,
get that.
don't doubt the queen, man. You got him like, you know what I mean? She about to be a mama. Your mama. She your mama now,
She
right?
a mama now, yeah,
Hey,
she got a little boy.
she finna come back. Yo, she ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, Riri on a whole nother, like, swag is crazy. That track, Loyalty, was
Loyalty was
unbelievably done.
so
Uh,
dope. It was so dope. So, yeah, there's just a lot of tracks on there that I, like, really, really, really liked right away, like, right away. So, Damn
right.
for me was
Okay.
top
Okay.
tier.
For
Yeah.
sure. For
Let
sure.
me
All right.
get let me get your number 2.
My number two, Mr. Morale. Mr.
Okay.
Morale, the Big Step, is definitely my number two right now. Definitely shot all the way up there in the sense of one of the things. I think it's because Kendrick is a leader,
Yeah.
and when you listen to his music, you listen closely, then he kind of helps you be a leader as well. He invites you to join in the leadership. So
Yeah.
when it comes to sound, when it comes to beat selection, when it comes to what is culture, who push it, pushing his face off me like, huh, yo, like, huh, like, bruh, what are you talking about? What are you
Uh,
talking about? Because I'm attractive. Like, what you?
let's talk about that a little because I also think, and we didn't really get to talk too much about the feature. We didn't talk too much about the features earlier.
Mm,
Kendrick having Kodak on there was problematic to some people. Like some people did not like it. I was shocked by it. I like when I saw the track list, um, and I like started the album, but I'm looking through the track list to see what features are on there, and I saw Kodak Black, and I was just like, why? And it's not even really for anything that he did. Like, obviously, like he's not. I mean, well, we don't even have to discuss all that. But I'm not. I don't listen to Kodak Black, so I was just like, well, how is this gonna sound? Like in my
right.
mind, it's like a Kendrick sound and then like a Kodak Black sound. Like, what we doing here? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, put some spec on it. Put some
No,
spec on
because
it.
that song is fire. Like,
Yeah,
that song is fire. So I just when you just to kind of backpedal a little bit on what you said just about, like, being a leader and kind of doing things that, like, maybe to the public eye or to the outside looking in, you're kinda like, "Why would you do that?" But he obviously knew what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? That's a great song, and I don't really I was trying to think of who else could have kind of done something like that. Could have taken that role, could have made that sound, could have delivered it how Kodak Black delivered it, and I don't think that we would have gotten the song that we got.
yeah. I mean, the only other
Alright,
person I would audible like sub in for that would be 21. That's probably the only other person I feel like
see,
could
I mean, yeah, because I feel like 21 doesn't miss on a feature at all,
at all.
at all. I mean, he is, like, perfect score, but I think there's a little bit of I don't wanna say playfulness, but there's just an energy
Yeah,
out of this song that
yeah.
comes from Kodak that I don't think 21, and this is no diss to
True.
21, but I just don't think we would have got from him. Like, I
Yeah.
just feel like this I mean, I just feel like this was made for Kodak to be on it, and so just to kinda go back on what you said, like, Kendrick really did a great job of, like of kinda seeing and that's with being an artist, so I guess, like, seeing what we don't see and
Right.
doing maybe, like, not what's popular
Right.
all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. He's a trendsetter, but he gives permission. Like he gives you permission as an artist to be like, you can do whatever you want as an artist. You can be honest with yourself on the track and it'll go further and it'll last longer.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like your music will last longer. That means that someone who plays it 2, 3 years from now can play it all the way through and and it's timeless. He's focusing
Mhm.
on being timeless versus just being a part of the times.
Right.
So like that's why this album's number 2 for me because I'm like I know it's gonna get better with time. I
Mhm.
know it's like next year, 2 years from now, play it back like dang, I forgot. Like I'm gonna make a
So
serious playlist, but I gotta hear your number one.
wait, well, before I give my number 1, because that's a good point too. Do you think talk about timeless albums. Do you think majority of Kendrick's albums are timeless?
I think he shoots for timelessness
Yeah.
every
I
time.
can't I can't think of an album that I, like, would listen to today that I would be like, "This didn't age well."
Right.
That like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Top
you
one.
like you said, you can go back and listen to Section 80 and be like, "Bruh, this is, like, amazing."
ADHD, like that 8 doobies to the face. That
That
I'm like,
song, he
man, what?
when he performs that, everyone goes crazy every time.
It's
Every time.
timeless. It's
Yeah.
timeless. You know what I'm saying? Like, yup. So I think, and I feel like there's so much music being released today. And it is. They're not shooting for timelessness. They're shooting for what's a bop right now.
And that's
Like,
why I can appreciate the 5 years or however long it's been because
right,
we know what we're getting. All right,
right.
my
Drum
number
roll.
1. My number 1 is Good Kid, Mad City Deluxe. The
Ooh,
deluxe, because
the
there's
deluxe.
the
Yep.
bonus because the recipe,
Oh, the
let's
rest.
talk about it. Okay, so first of all, this album is fire. Like the storytelling of this album, there's just so many things. I'm not from LA, but I always wanted to live in LA because Detroit is cold and I didn't like the cold.
Very
And
simple. Very simple.
yeah, I was like, God, I wanna like I wanna move somewhere where I can like eat lunch outside at school. And like you always saw that on TV, like the LA high school kids was always eat. I thought that was so cool. I was like, man, you can eat lunch outside. Like you don't gotta be inside all day. Or like, people just sitting on their stoop. Like we can sit on the stoop back in the summertime, but like not year round. I just thought like when I listened to Good Kid, Mad City, I just got such a vibe of LA. And this
Mm,
came out a year after the first time I had been here, but when I listened to it, I saw LA. Like I saw
yep,
Compton. I
yep.
heard Compton. Like I saw the city. I saw black people. I saw his mom and dad. You know what I'm saying? I saw them driving around, like breaking in the house, like about to get caught. Like I saw all of that. And this was
Mm,
just such a dope piece of work that was just masterfully put together in my opinion, like just the way it transitioned from track to track to track. I loved every song. Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe,
mhm.
Backseat Freestyle, Money Trees, Poetic Justice, Swimming Pool, like every track on that album
On.
slapped. They all
Keep going.
slapped. And like
Yeah.
when we talk about timeless albums to me, I feel like Imma play that 20 years from now and, like, still being able to, in my mind, go back and picture the same thing I pictured. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
like, this is the album for me that I, like, fell in love with Kendrick, and I know it was, obviously, it's one of his first, right? So it's very early, but when I heard this, I was, like, a fan. I
Yeah.
was like, "This guy, he has it."
Yeah.
he has it. I thought it was like I thought it was a little more mature than some of the stuff that was out now. It wasn't necessarily like we said, that like right away hit, that bop, that it told a story. You
It
can
was a movie.
definitely yeah, you can definitely listen to the tracks as singles, but like it's like once you hear the end of that song and you hear the car pull up to the house and then ring the doorbell and then it cuts off, you want to know what happens next. So
Right.
then you find yourself going to the next track. And then
Yup.
the same thing and so you just find yourself listening to the album, and this is, like, honestly one of my favorite albums to revisit all the time. It never lets me down. Um, and yeah,
Yeah.
the recipe with Dr. Dre, that was dope. And then the deluxe also had the extended swimming pool song.
Mm.
So it went from, like, I don't know, 3 minutes to, like, 5 minutes or something like
Right.
that, which
It
I
just
was
kept
like,
going.
"Give me more, give me more." So,
Right. Did
yeah.
Jay get on? Was Jay on the remix? Oh, that was on the remix.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was on the remix to "Bitch Don't Kill My
it's
Vibe."
my vibe. Yeah,
Yeah.
that wasn't on the deluxe, or was that just the remix? Was that on the
No, that
deluxe?
was that was on the deluxe. That was on the
Yeah.
deluxe
Yep.
too.
Uh
Yep.
huh. Me up in the clouds. Me and my spouse. Like
Yeah.
what? Ah,
That was like
oh, come on, man. Yeah,
that
that was
was
like, yep. Kendrick solidified himself. You know what I'm saying with Good Kid, Mad City. The fact that you said you could see it and picture it means that it was a movie. It was he created a movie with sound that
yeah.
you hear it, but as you hear it, you could picture it. You didn't have to see it to see it,
Yeah.
and
I
it takes
literally
a lot
saw a
of talent.
homie in the back. I saw a homie in the back seat shot. Like I saw him
Yeah,
like shot and they were
right,
all freaking out. Like I could see that in my head. He had on like a polo shirt with like stripes. He just laid out like shot. And I remember like hearing I remember hearing and feeling the fear of his mom and like the annoyance initially when she
right,
kept calling. She's like, "Dog, where's my car?" And then
right.
at the end she's like, "I just want to make sure you're okay." Like I'm not a mom, but I like felt that. Like I felt that. Like this is one of the again, when did this come out? 2012. So I mean, I don't remember what else was out right now, but I just thought that this was a very mature piece of work that I really, really liked. And I felt very mature listening to this.
Mm,
I was like, I felt like this was something that like my mom would always be like, y'all just listen to that boppity bop and blah blah blah. You don't listen to anything with substance. And I felt like this album was full of substance. And I was
substance.
like, I
Yeah,
never like played it. I never was like, Mom, look, I'm listening to it. But I was just like, this is what she's talking about. Like this is
right,
substance. Like this is
right.
substance.
This is what substance sounds like.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
real.
So
Okay,
that's
yeah.
my number one.
All right, yo, that's a great number one. That's a great number one. Yeah, my number one. I mean, you probably already know it. To Pimp a Butterfly. That's there's not. It's just there's not for me. It's like I know Kendrick's probably going to create another album that will get close to it. I mean, Mr. Morale is pretty close to it. Good Kid, Mad City is. I mean, it came right before it, but there was something about every aspect of what he expressed that validated my experience of being Black in America.
Mm,
Every track, every the whole the from beginning to end, every aspect, every track, it was like, and during that time, yeah, there was a lot. You're right. We was going through a lot, right? It was just like every year, every
it was
someone's
like every week.
every week,
It was like every week during that year, I felt like it was something in the news. This person is shot
something
at the
new,
gas station for playing his music too loud. This
right?
person, did this. This person shot here. And it was
Right,
just a lot.
like, and it was like, and then it was like on top of that, it was like black on black crime on top of that. Like, you know what I'm saying? And during that time, I was really into doing a lot of organizing up in the Bay, Black Leadership Collective. Shout out to Black Leadership Collective, Deanza College. I was out there doing a lot of social justice work within our community, and just like and also taking a lot of courses on African American history and doing a lot of writing. And it was like I was overwhelmed, and I
Yeah.
was tired, and I was working like crazy, and I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And that album, I got a bone to pick. I said, "What?" I was talking about sitting in my throne again. I said, "Oh, he brought back Mr. Jefferson. I'm mad."
He's mad.
Right, but I ain't stressed. I said, "Nah, Kendrick, he took he literally became like like he became that black man that gotta talk and tell you, like, I gotta tell you, because y'all
Yeah.
ain't listening." Like, you know what I mean? Like, he
Yeah.
stepped deep in that, and I was like, "Yo, hey, pure respect." That was like, it was literally, he was a voice. He was a voice
I feel it.
for the voiceless, you know?
Yeah.
But the things he was touching on, he's touching on taxes, Wesley Snipes, right?
Hmm.
This
That was
ain't
yeah.
free, right? This was spoken
Yeah.
word. A buddy of mine told me the realest thing about this album. He said that was actually a jazz album in disguise, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, it was a jazz album in
And I think
disguise.
that's another reason why it wasn't as well received as others because like people weren't ready for that. Like
Like,
people we were
right,
a lot of people were strictly hip hop. If it's not guns banging in the background, you know what I'm saying? A bunch of bass. People wasn't
right,
like that's not the Kendrick they wanted.
right. Yeah, they
But that
wanted
was the
like
Kendrick you got
that's a
and it was fire.
yeah, and the thing was like that. So what he did with hip hop, I couldn't. I was listening to like some hip hop records, like Yeezus was way ahead of his time. I was like, Yeezus going, people are going to understand Yeezus 10 years from now, and right now, people still barely understand Yeezus. Like
I know,
Yeezus
right? This is my favorite Kanye album.
is
Not saying
like
it's the best Kanye album. I said it's
right.
my favorite. That's a whole
Okay,
nother
okay.
story.
And yeah, we gonna have a session. We gonna have a session on Ye. But like I remember I was coming off of Yeezus, and Yeezus was like, it was like too much for me. The reason why Yeezus was too much for me is like I was mad, but I was like, man, I don't want to listen to that and burn things. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I ain't trying to knock somebody out for no reason because
right.
because
That was
I'm not.
me. Come over here. Let
You,
me give you something to cry about.
you, that's some Detroit hard body. Like, wow. Yeah, but there was an album that those two albums that hit me during that time frame that got me through and made me really know that like I'm intelligent, I'm loved, I am I have a future that's bright in front of me. And it was D'Angelo, Black Messiah, and To Pimp a Butterfly. And To Pimp a Butterfly was so unbelievable in the things that he touched on that they teach it in universities, and I can understand. You can dissect what he's saying
Yeah.
and have a full-fledged deep dive into very intellectual dialogue and conversation and discussion around specific experiences of being black in America. And the fact that it showed him in front of the White House, like the cover with, his family,
Cover
homies
was
from
hard.
the homies from the block. I was like, yo, he's making a statement. Like people
Yeah.
aren't, if you see the artwork and you listen to the music, he's making a statement. But there's so many records on there that it's just like, he's another one. He's ahead of his time. But that was for me. I was like, and yeah, To Pimp a Butterfly was probably like
Nice.
still till today. I'm probably gonna run that thing back. You know what I'm saying? Just
Hey,
get an energy boost.
so I love it. I love it. All right, real quick before we wrap up this segment, give me your top. Since you gave me essentially six albums, we're gonna go top three. Top three favorite. This is not best. There's a difference between best and favorite, right?
Favorite. Okay,
Top
yeah.
three favorite tracks off of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Go.
My top three.
Your top three. It don't have to be necessarily in order. You don't have to
Okay.
rank them because that's too much.
Okay, I got it. I'll say Mr. Morale. That
Okay.
was Michael Jackson. Um, Count Me Out.
Okay.
It felt like an album in a song.
Yeah.
And then Rich Spirit. I think ah, okay. I can say I'll say Rich Spirit. Okay.
All right, give
If
me
you,
other two. Give me other two because you
nah,
you got this. Your
nah.
thing. We got two
It's
of the same. We got two of
okay.
the same. I
All
have
right.
Rich Spirit on mine, and I have Count Me Out on mine too. Both bomb. First time I heard Rich Spirit, I knew that was going to be one of my favorites. The first time I heard N95, I like
Oh,
listened to it halfway and then I started it over. I like
yeah.
didn't even finish the song. I love that song. I knew it was gonna be the first single. I was gonna be shocked if it wasn't.
Right.
Uh yeah, that goes for me. But
Yeah.
yeah. There's obviously other tracks
Of
on
course,
this
yeah.
album that
Silent
are
Hill.
favorites, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Silent Hill is one of them for
It's not
sure.
crazy. Like
Yeah.
he has a lot of favorites on it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like stuff that like just hits really good records. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, yo, hey man, kudos to Kendrick. It's been months since the album dropped, but like it could still be talked about and dissected. And there's a lot to learn from K Dot, man.
Yeah.
And it's good to see him continue to grow, and I'm excited to see what's next and what he's gonna do with PG Lane.
Yeah. Next segment, fresh looks. So every
Yeah.
week, I'm gonna come at you guys with a few fresh artists, new producers that I find, whether they be within the Arabic community, whether they be just in the music industry. I really like finding new music and finding new artists, especially those that are not like very well known. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how people become big. Is and usually the people who are like the most not as known are
Mm,
so dope and just need a bigger platform. That's it.
mhm.
Which leads
Yeah.
me to my first artist. So, just to preface this, all of these artists are UK based artists. I
Hey,
have a deep, deep love for the UK, London specifically. Um, Trying to move out there
hey,
eventually. And yeah, so all of the artists this week are from the UK. So the first artist that I'm sharing with y'all, her name is Amie Blu. Amie Blu. Amie is a 19-year-old singer-songwriter from South London,
woo,
and her voice is vibes. Think
straight
like
up vibes.
vibes. It's like very whimsical, very dreamy,
Mm,
and her lyrics and like the stuff she sings about are like she has an old soul. Like you can tell she
mm,
has an old soul, which I love in like younger artists. I think that's always like it's always shows that you know your history. Uh,
mm,
you know what I'm saying? You kind of know what you're singing or rapping about. And I really respect that. She released her first single back in November 2021 called All For You. And then this past April, she released an EP that's titled Five For You. So a few tracks of mine that are favorites for me from her. One is called Are We All Right? Love that song. Love it,
mm.
love it, love it. Another one is All For You. And then another track you should check out is called Like That. So we're gonna link all of these onto our NoTv playlist that will be available for you guys to listen to on Spotify, so you can check her out. Again, that's Amie Blu. Second
Mm,
artist I want to touch on, BINA. Kwesi, I really think that you'll like this artist.
mm,
You know how I feel about neo soul. It's my favorite genre. Every
mm.
year, you know how Spotify does the raps at the end of the year, and they show you like who you listen to the most, and they break it all down. I always get neo soul as my top genre. Like, and it's
The data shows.
yeah, it's because of Erica Badu.
Right,
Uh,
of course.
But
Of course.
yeah, so Bina, she really gives me hope that neo soul isn't gonna die.
Mm, mm,
Because if you think about it, like how many young artists are there out there that are putting out neo soul music, right?
mm,
And I really think she has next in this genre. Her voice is just so healing.
mm,
Um, she describes her music as therapeutic, and I really do agree with that.
mm,
She has an album out that's called, or EP, I think it is. It's called "This Is Not a Film." And
mm,
it's a mood, like, the whole thing is a mood. Think classical beats with, like, dreamy undertones. Um, One thing that really attracted me to her was that she did an interview, and she's only been releasing music for 2.5 years, which I
mm.
thought that was, like, very interesting. Because she's like really, really new into this. A lot of new artists, they've been, even though they're new, they've still been on the scene for some time, and it's just like they finally got that first. But to see like where she's at now in just like 2.5 years, I really, really am excited to see like where she goes from here, and I'm looking forward to kind of following her journey for sure. Um,
BINA.
Couple of songs that I really like from her: "Just a Sec," "Do Not Disturb," and "Mercedes to Hades" is a
Mm,
vibe.
mm,
Mercedes to Hades. Yeah,
mm.
check it
Oh,
out. Check it
she
out.
ain't playing. She ain't
Nah.
playing.
Yeah, so she released her last single in May of this year, "Do Not Disturb," and then her first EP, like I said, "This Is Not a Film," was released in March of this year. So again, BINA, check her out. Last, is this artist, and I feel like I've spoken about her before, and she's someone who I really like her, and I'm gonna continue to speak about her. She's not from
Mm,
the UK, she's from Canada, but her name is Haviah Mighty. Do you remember
mm.
me talking about her?
Yes, yes.
From Toronto. And she's fire, dog. She's fire. She's a songwriter, she's a vocalist, she's a producer, she's a performer. She can rap. She the transitions from hip hop to soul to Afro beats. It's just she's just a fire flow. Like her delivery is dope.
Right.
She released an album, Stock Exchange, last year. It was the end of last year, like
Mm,
November, December of last year. And then she had a latest single that came out recently called Imagine That, which is really cool.
mm,
She has another song that I like, Tesla is dope.
mm,
And then another song called So So.
mm.
So yeah,
Yo,
check out
that's
Javier Mighty.
Javier
All
Mighty.
really dope artists. We're gonna link the playlist in the description so you guys can check out all these artists and yeah, give them some love.
Yeah. Okay, am I up to bat? I do want to put one plugin on y'all radar. It's called Voloco or Voloco, Voloco.
Loco.
This is Voloco. I think it's Voloco. I'll be seeing the.
I've been
Yeah,
saying Voloco very confidently too.
yeah, yeah. Confidently, Oh yeah,
Confidently,
Voloco.
Voloco.
It's. I feel like it's a very American accent. I feel like it's like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, like it seems like it's like a Latin. They're like Voloco. You know what I'm saying?
Voloco. Voloco.
I Voloco, Voloco, it's where it's at though. So check it out for producers, for artists. This is a really dope app. I consider it a kind of new brand of apps. It's like these collaborative music platforms, right? Where you can find beats on there from producers that are trying to promote their beats. So there's probably the best kinds of beats that you can find on there because they want to get exposure to artists. Even if you're not an artist and you just want to play around and just like play around with auto tune, right? Like you want to get that T-Pain effect. Voloco was born out of like adding effects to vocals. This company has been around for a while now. If you can and you can check out the link in the description to get to their website because they also have a VST plugin of this iOS app.
Nice.
Where you can download that plugin and actually use it. To be honest, it's pretty good. It's like if you've used Waves Tune or Auto Tune or Waves Tune for your vocals to add that effect. You can actually add a chorus effect. They have a really dope choir effect that I've actually used on a few records and for a few like sound packs that I create. It's truly amazing. It's disruptive. It's a collaborative platform. You can send your music, post stuff from there, record a quick demo, upload it to YouTube, so you can play it back and save it. It's a great sketch pad for you if you're a vocalist, and if you're a producer and you want to get some exposure, get some feedback to see if people are actually going to do something on your tracks and see if it resonates with people so you know which one you want to promote or put some credits behind. I would surely check out Voloco. It's free to use. They have like a premium version and you can upgrade from that, but there's a freemium and you can get a lot done with that freemium. Also, be sure to look for that desktop plugin when you go to their website. Voloco is one of my favorite apps. I've been using it for 3-4 years now. Since I discovered it, I'm like, this is the way to go with vocals. But we have a special guest that's going to join us, and this segment is called "Stay Plugged In," and we're having a conversation with DaFingaz, aka Marcus, aka the boy Marcus, coming up in here to put us on game. Marcus has been a member of the Airbit community, definitely in the thick of things when it comes to our Discord and sharing resources in the VST and plugins channel inside of our Discord. If you have not joined our Discord, please do. Airbit, it's just the Airbit Discord. Just hit us up on Discord. Join it. Other producers and artists. What you laughing?
Because you were about to say the link, and you were like, "It's just the Airbit Discord."
I was going. What was I like, Discord.com/Airbit/
That's what I thought you were about to do, and I was like, "Damn," like that. You were like, "It's just the Airbit Discord," and it made me laugh.
Yeah.
Sorry. Make sure you edit that too.
I might leave it in there. Check us out. Zoom in. Tap in. But for now, we're gonna tap into what? Are you crying? You crying at me not saying the link? A fool.
I didn't even know I was crying.
HTTPS semicolon. You thought I was
for sure crying. I thought you were gonna say it in the way you were just like, the Airbit Discord, duh. Like, just join the Airbit Discord. It was just funny.
My God.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's comedy. That's comedy. Yeah. So hey, stay plugged in. Let's get to it. First of all, Marcus.
Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus.
So when we found out your name was Marcus, immediately I thought about what's the movie? Why Did I Get Married?
Mm-hmm.
When so you've seen the movie, right?
Of course,
I cannot think of this actress name, but her husband's name was Marcus, and I just remember her yelling throughout the movie, "Oh, Marcus, what Marcus?" And so that's amazing.
I'll drink to that. Shout out.
Yes.
Shout out to Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
Been trying to get to the Tyler Perry studios down in Atlanta.
Oh man, it's beautiful.
That man is a genius.
Beautiful. It's like 100 acres.
Yeah, I need him to build a recording studio down there. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
But Marcus, aka DaFingaz. Most people know me as DaFingaz, DaFingaz on social media and like online. Family and friends know me as Marcus. So when people find out my name, they're like, "Wait, you're the same person." So yeah, in the communities and stuff online, it's always DaFingaz. But same person. Just a musician. Started playing in church for like 25 years. Over 25 years, actually, closer to 30. Leading up to the pandemic, started at a young age, grew up in the church. My mom had me in the church, and then started learning, from the musicians in the church, playing keys and playing with, a great band every Sunday. You got drums. At least in this church, it was drums, at least drums and bass. Sometimes we have a horn player come out. Sometimes we have like violin and like orchestra. So,
what'd you play?
I play keys, so Hammond organ and piano and like synths and stuff. So his name, DaFingaz. Yep, exactly. Yeah. When the pandemic hit, church went virtual, and they sort of let the musicians go. And I started realizing that I really liked being home, on the weekends, sleeping in late on Sundays, being home with family. I got a wife and 2 kids, and like I missed like a lot of birthdays, celebrations, just family gatherings, funerals, vacations, because I had to play at church. So like the vacations I would have to do would be like Sunday after church, and then I'd have to be back, Saturday night, the next Saturday. So we would only do 1 week long vacation. So now it's like we can go on vacation for like 2 weeks or however long we want.
Get out there now.
They didn't have anybody else on the keys to sub for you.
They did for at least up until the last 3 or 4 years. There was other people that I can call, but then I would call someone to be like, yo, I'm trying to go on vacation this Sunday. Can you sit in? And one Sunday, someone I asked to sit in didn't show up. And I was like, I'm not gonna rely on anyone else to sit in for me because I
That's
can't.
tough.
I'm gonna be the reliable one. To the,
Mm-hmm.
maybe to the detriment of family. So it wasn't until after like really like last year they wanted me to come back, but it was paid. And then they asked me to come back for free, and I'm like, I can't do that. So sort of
Hey man,
separated. Yeah,
sacrifice the sacrifice for the Lord,
For the
man.
Lord, I
yeah,
know.
like
You
okay.
done
I
put
felt
it in
bad.
for
Yeah,
25 years.
they give you that treatment like you gotta do it for the Lord. It's like, yeah, but I gotta do it to pay bills too. So I got a
Yeah.
family and
That's
kids. So
facts.
growing up in
Mm-hmm.
the church, there's a lot of people that still looked at me as like the little kid. And it's like, nah, I got bills and wife and
Yeah.
family now. So when the pandemic hit, I started shifting the focus to more of doing things that I was doing a little bit, but doing it more, such as doing piano remixes of like pop songs, putting music online, entering a lot of contests. And when the pandemic hit, I probably entered 200 contests that year, music
Wow.
contests, remix contests, sampling contests, producing contests, composing contests, anything that had to do with creating music. I found as many as I could and entered as many as I could. And that allowed me to connect with a lot of great communities, a lot of great plugin developers, and just started getting into the realm of plugins. I probably downloaded thousands of plugins over the years, tested a lot of them, I do demos for a lot of them, beta test a lot of them, and provide feedback to a lot of these companies. So that's sort of like the resume I have on the plugin side, and then also doing the music creation, music production. Last year, started diving into sync. Recently, doing trailer music for movie trailers. So that's a whole nother like game. And I also scored an independent film, short film, last month, I think it was. So trying to do a
Congrats.
lot musically, just because I feel like I spent so much time in the church
Yeah.
that I have to make up that 25 plus years trying to figure out what it is that's going to work for me outside of it musically, because church is a commitment that's like 3-4 hour
Absolutely.
rehearsals and then service. I'm gone all day Sunday, so taking all that time now to focus on my own music.
So now,
Right.
is production something you literally dove in after the pandemic? You started producing, like
No,
you weren't producing.
I was always doing
Okay.
it, but just not as
Okay.
much because I would have
Gotcha.
to learn like a Kirk Franklin or Richard Smallwood song, and I had
Right.
to learn like every Sunday was like 12 or 13. So it was like a concert.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, I would have at least 2 rehearsals, sometimes 2 or 3 rehearsals a week, which are 2 hours a pop. And then it take me 30 minutes to get there. So that's like 3 hours, commuting there and back. So that took
What
a
state?
lot of time.
You ain't gotta say that you ain't gotta say the church, but
Um,
what state?
no, I definitely, I decided long ago, I'm not going to give them any advertising, but I used to actually go live from church every Sunday. I would go live on Facebook. I probably was one of the first, this was probably about 10 years ago. I started going live from church on like,
Mm,
put my phone up on the organ or the
yeah.
piano and play during the service,
Streaming. Yeah.
streaming on Facebook and then Twitter, I think, or YouTube. But
Mhm.
I'm in Virginia, Northern Virginia, DMV area.
Okay.
So shout out to the whole DMV
Yay.
music community producers, Pharrell, Timbaland, Bink,
It's a lot of
Knox.
great music out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Go-go scene is
Yeah.
crazy.
Go Go, Insane,
Uh-huh.
Funk.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's no, that's dope. You know what? It's crazy because a lot of producers that have grown up in the church, right? They bring a completely different type of understanding of how to
Yeah.
approach vibe and sound, right? Because of like another brother, Tone Jones, another brother grew
Mm-hmm.
up in the church. It's like
Yeah.
understanding tritones and chords, but then if you played on the organ or the Rhodes, like you understand the textures, the difference in
Mm-hmm.
textures, and how you can really make a sound come to life. And so that's really interesting how you started submitting to a lot of contests, but then
Mm-hmm.
you also focused on plugins, and that allowed you to connect onto in the plugin side. So really, just give if you can give just like just a simple breakdown of what a plugin is, and how they've kind of upped your game as a producer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how did they shift the way you approach music production, especially after transit? It seems like you
Mm-hmm.
produced while you were still in church too, but then switching to going full time with that discipline that you learned from rehearsals and all that stuff, applying it to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
What have these plugins done to like kind of really help guide your sound and what you do and push you forward?
Yeah, and one thing, I'm not full time yet. I'm working to get to full time. I actually work by day at National Geographic, in DC. So great company to
Word.
work for. I
Nice.
actually started working there. They had a studio, they had a record label, they had a lot of music programming. That all sort of went away long before the pandemic, but I still work there now, like AV IT support. And then
I don't know
working
why
there
when you
has
said National Geographic right
yeah.
away, I just assumed you were doing something with animals. I was
So
like,
people always like the assumption is
like
like, oh, you
right
must be a
away.
great photographer. You
I'm
must
like,
travel the world. It's like, no, we just,
I automatically put you in the
yeah.
lion's cage, like trying
No,
to
don't
like
put me in the
wrangle
lion's
the
den. Nah,
lions. I was
I'm not
like,
taming the lion.
okay.
But no, it's more like we're plugging in the laptop of the person that was in the cage or out in the jungle with the lion, so that they
Yeah,
can
yeah.
present about it.
Absolutely
Yeah.
makes more
You ain't
sense.
But
in the
working,
field.
no,
Yeah,
I'm
for
not in the
sure.
field. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Sounds a
All right.
lot safer.
But yeah, I've been there for forever, so it's gonna be almost
Yo,
15 years. So I've been
Marcus
there for a while.
rattling these rattlesnakes, just
Bro,
got
I
Rattlesnake
got
like
got the
got the little
that's
stick.
right away where
it,
my head went. I was like, oh
You're like,
man.
wait, Nat Geo? Yeah, yeah. So shout out to National Geographic. And working there has allowed some great opportunities musically also, where I've been able to work on music for like museum exhibits for Nat Geo. Made
Yeah.
some great friends over at Disney on the music side. So made some great connections because of working there. But for plugins, really, I've always been interested in them. I also went to school. This is back in, I'm not, I guess I'm old, but I graduated high school 2002. So in college, I went to a school called James Madison University. And to graduate, you had to do an internship. I was a music major. So to be a music major, you had to do an internship. So I interned at a studio. And the guy's studio that I worked at, his name is Luke Walker, incredible producer, engineer. Um, he was the guy, I shouldn't say this, it's too late now. But he was the guy that single handedly put out, at the time, they were called like torrents. They were like cracked plugins. He put out like the Waves like cracked plugin at the time, and like it got downloaded like thousands of times. He's like, yo, I put this out there, and I'm like, yo, that's crazy. um so back then, I would say early 2000s, like 2000 to 2005, 6, maybe 2010ish. Cracked illegal plugins was probably the way to get access to these high quality plugins, which were like thousands of dollars to get. And it's like, the average producer that's producing from the bedroom doesn't have $1,000. And then over time, especially over the last 5 years, 5-10 years, I started seeing a lot of plugin developers release quality plugins at cheaper prices, and then even more recently, definitely the last 5 years, for free. And I started like slowly upgrading my plugin game from using like stock. I use Logic now. I was using Pro Tools at National Geographic, and then when the studio shut down, I was using the iPad to produce for about 4 or 5 years. And the iPad also has some great apps that are inexpensive, not expensive because it's an iPad. So not as expensive as a desktop. And then some desktop plugin developers also create apps for the iPad, and they sell them at cheaper prices on the iPad.
Do you have any, I don't know if
Yeah,
this is jumping ahead, but do you have any like favorite uh, iPad apps that you used for
yeah, I
plugins?
have I have a lot. There's a company called Clevgrand, who actually just released a new app. They make both apps for the iPad and the desktop. They have a lot of great percussion apps, especially recently since this whole like Afrobeat house music vibe is coming back. It's really great for that. I use it a lot on sort of the orchestral stuff also. FabFilter makes some great apps for cheaper prices on the iOS than on the desktop. DAWs, I use one called Cubasis, which is the iPad version of Cubase, which is on the desktop. And then there's another one called Beatmaker 3, which is iPad only. I've been using that for a few years. It's great for sampling. And then, of course, if you're just like getting into it, GarageBand on both Macs. I use Mac, so
Yeah.
I'm going to be really Apple centric, but
I
both
mean,
Macs,
who's not on a
iPad.
Mac right now?
If you're not on a Mac, I mean, it is an investment
What
to
you
get
doing?
one, but once you
Well,
got it, you're
yeah.
good to go. But yeah, GarageBand it comes with the Mac and the iPad and
Yeah.
iPhone, and you can just dive in on that, and you can use a lot of these plugins on there, and it's a free, it's not free. You got to buy the computer or device, but it comes with it. So a great way to
Right.
just entry level way into music production.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. And we'll get into kind of a couple
Yeah,
more of your lists of like
yeah,
what we're talking about. Like but yeah, like so what was the shift? Like you said you got into testing certain plugins, and you start to understand developers like in the beginning in your like kind of raw mind. I know you've already been I mean, I'm privy to the waves cracks, you know what I'm saying, on torrent, downloading the torrents, and then like having to go into your kernel and trying to type your password. You have to go into the terminal, and so it's like you got to do a little bit. You got to understand a little bit of what's under the hood of a computer, Britt. I'm just gonna give you some kind of perspective as a producer.
And you already see how I be when sound doesn't work.
Oh my God. Yeah, right.
Like,
you know what I'm saying? Like, no, but imagine if you're trying to get a $20,000 software packet on your computer, and you gotta go read forums, follow it step by step before you can actually unlock it. It was frustrating. It was so frustrating. But once you got it, you like, oh, I can hack it to the Pentagon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You felt like,
like the man.
So like, so I mean, you know that emotion, right? Like, it's crazy. But so as you started switching to like the iPad, iOS, and looking at different plugins, what led you to being able to like test them and like and start following developers? Like, what pulled you in deeper? Because when we look at our Discord and see what you've done in the VST plugins, like majority of everything there is you, and it's a lot. It's like
a lot.
I think you dropped almost 1,000 by now.
I feel like you were posting them before we even created that channel. And I feel like there was like 50 of them posted before the channel even got created. And I always was just like, what is he posting? Like, what is this? But people were loving it. People were like loving it. And then Kwesi was like, yo, I just created the VST channel. Everyone's so excited. And I was like, all right, keep pushing.
So like, no, for real. Like, and so what led to your because it was you that actually was the reason why I created it, because people was asking, but you asked again, and then you asked again. You asked twice. Everybody asked once, you asked twice. I was like, okay, if he knows, then he knows. So but yeah, so what led to your library? What led to you getting pulled deeper into the plugin arena?
Yeah, the first plugin, like, I sort of remember, like, at least on desktop, I think it's like Mic DSP. Like, this is 15 years ago, I think. That's the first I remember, like the green plugins, seeing them. Always been interested in like plugins. And then when I started diving into the iPad production, shout out to Henny the Business, great producer.
The Business, we gotta get him. We gotta get him. I learned all my iPad apps from Henny, man.
Had some great chats with him. But before I was able to link up with him, I would always watch his videos. He would go out with his family, like they'd go out camping or whatever. And he would have his iPad. He'd be making a beat. I'm like, yo, this is dope. And he would talk about the apps he's using. So he sort of inspired me to go the iPad production route, like dive in. Since the iPhone came out, I actually was making music on the iPhone. There was a contest about 10, 11 years ago that Isotope had. They had this app called iDrum. And what they said was, if you make music with this app and you win this contest, we'll give you a bunch of Isotope plugins. So every day when I would go into work, it would take me 2 hours to get into work. I would make a beat on the app. They had iDrum. They had like a Wu-Tang edition. I think they had a Cool and Dre edition. And this is like one of the first, apps that you can make music on an iPhone. And for 30 days straight, I made a beat, or more like however many, 4 weeks, like 25 or whatever. And I sent it in. I don't know if I won, but at the end of it, someone from Isotope hit me up. It was like, yo, we're giving you a bunch of codes for these plugins. So I had like RX version 2. It was, hold on one second. It was, I think, like Neutron, Trash. It was the early, you got it. It was the early versions of it. So it was not the, this was 10 years ago. So it's not what right now they're at like 9 or 10, but it was the early version of all these Isotope plugins. So I was like, okay. That sort of started sparking my interest in. I always entered contests, but then over the years, I probably entered one contest, 1 or 2 a week. Then the pandemic hit, and I started entering like 1 a day, like 5 a week. And like I said, I did about 200 that year, the first pandemic year. And even if you don't win, there's some contests where just by entering you get plugins, or just by participating, they'll be like, oh, we thank everyone for participating. We're just going to give everyone this code for this device or whatever. So a lot of this stuff, I have it blurred out, but a lot of the stuff I have back here, about half of my gear is won from contests, or it's from companies that send stuff to me. But it started from the whole contest thing where I'm like, the stock plugins are great to an extent, but like especially when I'm trying to get more into orchestral cinematic things, Logic strings aren't quite there yet. So what I would do is I would go online and look for free plugins that are like strings. And that's how I found a lot of these great companies. I don't know if we want to get there yet, but like some of my favorites, plugin developers even recently started doing free plugins, so you get the free stuff and then eventually you can upgrade it. That's how I've done with some of these plugin developers. I started with their free stuff, then they have, let's say like a $30 library. It's like, okay, let me get that. And the next thing you know, you're getting their $500 library, $700 libraries, but it's sort of like their freemium model, sort of like what happened with like Facebook, where you go in for free, but now you got to buy ads, and now they're
Right.
billion-dollar company. So a lot of these companies that put out these plugins, they're starting to do like free versions or light versions, and then you want to have more features, you got to upgrade or you got to pay the subscription model, which I'm not a fan of really, but it is what it is. But yeah, started connecting with these plugin developers, and then I started posting videos either on YouTube reviewing the plugin or doing demos on like SoundCloud. I probably have thousands of demos out just online, including demos and videos of reviewing these plugins, to the point now like I reach out to companies that I want plugins from and say, hey, I might not be able to afford, I'm not in the tax bracket for your $1,000 Hans Zimmer library, but if you're willing to send me, the library, I'll be more than happy to post a video about it. I'll post on social media. I don't have 1 million followers, but I got a couple thousand. You might get 1 or 2 sales. So I just be really transparent, really honest. A lot of them say no, some of them say yes, and that's how I started building those relationships. And then when I say I enter contests, I'm at the point now, like when I see contests, even if I enter it, if they're not offering like prizes that I want, I now go back to the developers. It's like, yo, I'm entering this contest. I'm probably not going to win, but it would be great if you offered a prize for the contest. And even that has opened some doors where I would go to a developer and say, can you offer a prize to this contest? And they'll be like, yeah, we'll do that. Connect us with the contest runner or whatever. And then they would ask me like, well, what plugin do you want? I'm like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. I'm just trying to, bridge the gap,
Build
be
a
the connector
connection.
between
Yeah.
the contest and
I
the
love
plugin
that.
developer. So some of them is like, well, yeah, we'll love to take part in this contest, especially if it's for a great cause, for charity, or whatever. So now that I have those relationships with those plugin developers, just been building over time. And now, like when I go out, like I went to NAM a couple weeks ago, meeting up with these plugin developers. It's like, yo, I'm the one that did, 1,000 demos for you, and then just meeting up with them and like, yo, I've been using your plugins for years, and just seeing the faces behind, and they can put the face to the DaFingaz name. But yeah, it's been great building those connections, and then taking it from offline to online, or taking it from online to offline and in person, or just having like a Zoom chat with these different communities. So yeah, that wasn't quick, but that's sort of the plugin spiel.
No, I love that.
Right. There was a lot of gems in there, right?
Really speaks a lot. It really speaks a lot to networking, putting yourself out there. You know what I'm saying? Offering to, I loved how I don't have a lot of followers. I'm not like, well, you do have a lot of followers, but I'm not in the, like you said, tax bracket, I should say, of purchasing this. You know what I'm saying? But I would love to, you send it to me, I'll post a video that can get you some sales. Like that's a really good way to make a connection. You're going to get some no's, you know what I'm saying? But you're going to get some yeses too. And then from that, you can build on that and build that relationship. And then over time, I'm sure they continue to send you stuff, especially if you're posting those videos and then people are purchasing the plugins from the videos you post. So I think that's very smart. I love the way you approach that.
Yeah, and that's what I like. Let's say a plugin comes out, especially if they have like the intro price for like a month. If it's a plugin that I want, I wait until usually the last week to get it if I'm going to buy it, because by then all the reviews for it will be out, and that's what I do. I wait for the reviews so that I can, not necessarily the company reviews, but the people that are going to use it, producers, composers, beat makers, music makers. I wait to see like a couple of those videos so I can see what they think about it, how it sounds. And they might be like, nah, this ain't it, this ain't worth it, or don't buy this right now, or these other libraries that you get might replace this, might work for free. So I believe that there's a lot of companies that do the sort of rush marketing, like flash sale, get it today. I don't really, unless it's a plugin I've been wanting, it's on my list to get anyway, then I might do it, but I don't really dive in on like the marketing tactics. And right now, when we're in summer of 2022, I don't know when this will be posted, but it's a great time I tell people now is a great time to save up, because Black Friday is when all the good deals happen. There are some companies that do seasonal deals, like there's summer sales going on right now that are pretty decent. But if there's a plugin you want, let's say there's a Heaviosity plugin I want. Heaviosity. It's called Symphonic Destruction. It's $449. So I know if it'll probably more than likely go on sale Black Friday. So if I can save up between now and Black Friday, $449, it'll probably be like $300, and I'll have another 100 that I can spend on another plugin or save or whatever. So start thinking ahead. There's a lot of these companies that do sales. We talked about Waves earlier, about the Cracked Waves plugins. There is no reason now to get a Cracked Wave plugin because Waves is on sale every day. There's no reason to pay a full price for a Waves plugin because they're like $29 now. And they're great. I think they also have a subscription model. So never pay full price for Waves plugin.
That's facts. Yo, that's facts. Yeah. No, you got a lot of gems. I'm over here like I'm gonna create some TikTok duos just reacting to you. Like yo,
you're stupid. And then one more for plugins when you're purchasing. Look at companies like Plugin Boutique is one. Shout out to Plugin Boutique. Loot Audio is another one. These are companies where they sort of aggregate plugin developers. So let's say, for example, you want to get like the Heaviosity plugin. If that's on Plugin Boutique, I can buy it on Plugin Boutique, and then I'll also get points towards a future purchase from buying from them instead of going to the Heaviosity website. So just compare the prices, make sure the Plugin Boutique price matches. If there's a sale price on Heaviosity, make sure the price matches. But then go to Plugin Boutique, buy it from there. Then each purchase you make on Plugin Boutique, you get points that you can add to another purchase. And then they also always have a free plugin of the month. So if you buy a plugin on Plugin Boutique, you can get whatever the free plugin of the month that is. And sometimes for me, the free plugin is worth more than the plugin I buy. So if there's like, hey, we're giving away this free plugin if you buy anything, I might just look on the site for like a $5 plugin that I don't really care about, just so I can get the free plugin because I really want the free plugin. So there's, so basically I got the free plugin for $5 and then whatever $5 plugin.
I swear that's how my mom used to shop.
Yeah.
My mom used to shop like
coupon.
That. Yeah.
Just like coupon shopping. Coupon shopping for plugins. So,
that's crazy how it relates.
It translates.
Always relates.
Yeah. I just saw you was breaking it down. I'm like, yeah, and then you just go and take it back and get the points for that, and you can keep those points. You can go take them over there, and it's price match.
Exactly.
That coupon game. Okay. Yes. So Plugin Boutique. Okay. Well, I'm taking note of that. We're gonna circle back around to that towards the end. Quick question. So how do you, there's a plethora and an endless sea of plugins that are continuously being developed, and there's so much out there. How do you kind of narrow it down and seep through all of that and how does doing that allow you to like get closer to your sound? Like, are there ways that you review plugins? Do you discover better plugins? I know there's a couple that it's like you have the Waves plugins, but there's some developers that they kind of mimic it pretty well. And so like, how do you find the ones that are true quality? And how long does it take you to, like, what is your world like in actually seeping through and finding quality plugins?
So I'm actually part of a lot of communities because I was doing this for myself. So I was like, I want some better strings, but I can't afford $1,000 string. So let me see what people are saying are the best free string libraries out there. So I would just do a Google search, and then I would find these YouTube people or these communities. For example, Sanjay C, who I met at Plugin Boutique, but I've been a fan of his who I met at NAMM, but I've been a fan of his for years. He would do a weekly review of plugins, and then he would have like a one free plugin of the week or something like that. Or Sample Library Review, they would do a monthly free plugin thing of, here are the best free plugins for this month. And of course, all of them don't relate to me. There's some. Now I just sort of put the list together. I don't really download as many free plugins as I used to. I used to have like thousands of plugins, but in reality, I probably use less than 100 of them. So I actually started going through and purging a lot of plugins because I'm like, I'm not using them. I might have used them once. I might have did a review and that's it. But I don't use them. It's not part of my production workflow.
Your drop down inside the DAW is probably like
crazy,
and I'm like,
right?
man,
it'd be like if I could open the DAW and it could be like if the paper could like come out of the screen, it would be like a scroll that comes out and rolls across the floor. And I'm like,
CVS
I don't
receipt.
use CVS. I'm like, I don't use all these plugins. So yeah, I started like purging them down to the ones that I use. But there's people that were where I was at that still want that free access or the free plugins. So when I come across them, I usually go to look at the reviews that people are saying about the free plugins, like, yo, this is dope, or nope, don't bother with this. And then I try to stay away. Sometimes I can't do it, but I try to stay away from ones that are Windows only or Mac only, because some people have both. So I try to stick with the ones that work on both. There's some that is like, this looks really, really good and it's Windows only, so I might share that. But for the most part, I try to keep them device agnostic, if that's a good word. But yeah, I'm part of all these communities. Shout out to Sanjay C, Sample Library Review. There's like free plugin sites on groups on Facebook. People have asked me to start my own, which I go back and forth, like, because I'm basically doing what they do. I'm taking stuff from them, like best free stuff from the other free stuff, and making my own list and stuff. And then I just put it out on the group online. So yeah, there is no. People have asked, do I test each plugin? I don't. The free plugins that I share, I usually go off of the reviews that I see people saying about it, or if it's a plugin that I am using because I use it, then I might note that. But I don't test every free plugin. I was doing that for a while, but then it takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Well, what do you look for in a good plugin?
What it does, well, there's different things. Sometimes if it doesn't look right, I'm just like, it's not. If it doesn't appeal to me, I'm not going to share it. Like, I don't want to share something that I wouldn't use, even though I don't use it. I don't want to share something that I wouldn't use. So if it looks aren't everything, but looks are something for plugins. And what it does, sometimes I'm like, do we really need another, analog tape plugin? Do we need another EQ, another compressor? But then there are some people who are just starting out, and that's the first post they see when they come into the group. It's like, oh, well, they're not going to go back and look at the past 1,000 free plugin. They might, but they might join that day, and their first experience with the free plugin is this new tape compressor, whatever thing. Even though there's a million others out there, but this is a new one. This is the one that they saw first, and that's what they're going to dive into. So part of it is just helping out the community in that way with the plugins. If it's reviewed by some of those people that I mentioned, such as Sanjay C, Sample Library Review, usually I trust their decision on the apps that they show. So if they say this is a good one, check it out, then I'll just copy the link. And sometimes like the link is actually their affiliate link, so I'm like helping them out. So I need to get my affiliate links together. But it is what it is. Yeah, so it's really if they say it's a good plugin, I sort of trust my sources that I'm getting them from.
Right. Have you heard of Hack Attack?
Jacob. Jacob, I think is his name. Incredible iPad producer. His videos are insane.
Right. Yeah, Britt. This guy's pretty cool too. His on Hack his YouTube is HAQ Hack Attack. He reviews all kinds of plugins, goes super in depth. He even interviews some of the developers. I learned a lot from him, and you saw me get excited earlier about Henny the Business. Henny the Business. He's a brother. He's got a lot of soul, got a lot of energy, and he just went all in with his iPad and started producing music off of his iPad. So like,
I think that's what draws me to some of the plugin developers. Well, Henny the Business, who he got me to the iPad, and then he actually released a great plugin on iOS called Housemark One, which is like a roads app. That he actually he's also a professor at I'm gonna get it wrong, Henny Morehouse. So teaching like music industry. So they developed this app as part of like a course, and then a portion of the proceeds goes back to the school. So it's really just an all around great initiative. So been following him for years, and then when they were developing this app, I get a message from him, and he's like, would love to have a chat with you about this project we're working on. And basically it was B, another great producer named Brandon Rico Simpson. So we're like waiting on the Zoom call, and Henny joins with his business partner Kennard, and they tell us about this app, and I'm just like, this is so dope. Like, one, like I'm talking to you, and I've been following you for like years, like seeing you go out with your kids making beats. So that connection was just insane, and then ended up doing beta testing that app and provided some preset a preset sound for the app. So shout out to Henny, man, great guy. I think now he's a president of the Atlanta chapter of the Grammy Academy or something like that. So,
Grammy U,
Grammy U, Mr. President. So shout out to Henny. But yeah, Henny Jacob Hack being in the iPad production space, it's really a small community. So you start to learn like these developers, and I would follow all these people. There's another one called Sound Test Room who basically have tested almost every music app that's out of the iPad. So if you're looking to for an app on the iPad, go to these pages or type in YouTube, iOS iPad music producer app, in the name of the app, and there's probably a review on it.
What was the last one you said? Sound Test Room?
I think it's either Sound Test Room or the Sound Test Room, all like one word on YouTube. I think he has a great accent. I don't know if it's British or where, but great guy. There's a lot of I have a list of all kinds of great iOS producers that I follow. And then even there's a producer named S1, Symbolic One, a Texas producer.
He's one of our advisors.
Kanye. Yeah,
S1 is one of our advisors for Airbit.
Is he?
Yeah.
So shout out to S1. He actually inspired me to release my sample packs last year. I started doing sample packs last year. After a chat with him, he's like, "Yo, bro, you got to put out sample packs." But he just posted as part of another production company he has. It's S1 and this guy named Jamil. And they posted on Instagram like yesterday because they worked on Beyonce's upcoming project. And he posted like an iPad app. Them like he recorded his vocals in it, and like he's like shifting the vocals in the iPad app. And everyone in the comments are like, "What app is it?" And of course, I didn't want to say what app it is. Some of us in the iPad space, we know what the app is, but they didn't mention it in the comments. So I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be like the secret code. But shout out to S1, man. Great.
What's the app, man? Stop playing.
What's the app? I'm not gonna say it. I can tell you offline.
Okay, we're gonna take it offline. All right.
But yeah, like
leave it on the podcast.
I sent the clip to my iPad producer friends. I'm like, y'all know what this is. Like we've been using these apps for years. To the point like S1 hit me up. I would say maybe a year or two ago. Because I also created presets for another app. He was like, "Yo, bro, are these your presets?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. Are you using them?" And just like, I never would have thought just from the whole plugin developers like asked me to beta test. They asked me to create like presets and sounds or create demos. And how that's also building connections to some of my favorite producers and artists. And then another thing I was doing was I would post piano remixes of songs. Like last year, Justin Bieber Peaches was like the big summer hit or a big summer hit. So I took the music out and I would just do like piano, keep the vocals, and I did a piano remix of it, and then I would post it online and tag like Justin Bieber and then like 29 other people around him I could find, and that allowed me to connect with like the producer and the songwriters of the song. So I stopped doing piano remixes because now I'm also doing movie trailers. So I started trailerizing songs, which is basically taking songs and making them applicable for movie trailers. So that's like a whole nother avenue that could actually be more beneficial, especially if it lands like on movie trailers. So that could be beneficial for everyone involved. So just trying these different avenues, studying these different music avenues that might work for me, whether it's the remixes, the contests, the plugin developing, sounds and testing, the movie trailers, the composing music for films or sync licensing. So there's so many avenues, and I'm doing so much because I feel like sometimes I spent so much time focused on the church, and right now it's like, what do I really have to show for it after the 25 years? I know some, great chords and some great musicians, of course, some great singers, but it's like if I got out of the church about 10 years sooner, I would probably be a lot further on the other music game than I would be right now. So I'm trying to, throw as much, the saying, throw spaghetti to the wall and see what sticks. And a lot of it is sticking. So
it is, man. It is sticky, man. It's sticky fingers or DaFingaz, man. You out here doing your thing, man. Yeah, I don't know. I know Sticky Fingers is another, another group, another brand. But
shout out Sticky Fingers though.
Yeah, for real, yeah. So kind of tying this together, man. So like usually I put together these kind of music tech talks series, like for each episode, just a little bit of like what's happening in music tech that's interesting. And so you know, we have like a lot of AI generated stuff that's happening, right? We have AI generated softwares like in online softwares like Lala L AI, right? Who could just like strip audio down, can isolate drums, bass, you know, instruments from different audio, get you the acapella and the beat so easy, right? And it's actually pretty good. Um, you got like Boomy, you got SongGen, you got Beat, right? Like where you can generate melodies that are just being created from algorithms, right? It's like AI engines that can always create something new and original. And those are like the kind of AI technologies that are helping assist producers. There's also these kind of collaborative apps, right? Like I don't know if you've heard of like Voisey and like
Yep.
Rap Chat, right? And Voloco, right? Which is or Voloco, which is kind of like your auto tune, but yet it's like a community place, like Band Lab, right, where you can collaborate with other people. What are you seeing as the future of this space? What do you obviously you've run through so much and seen a lot. You hit up NAM, you saw what was going on. What do you see as the future of this kind of plug-in world and new producers coming in? How can they like leverage that? You know what I'm saying? And just like leverage your perspective based off of your knowledge and advice of where the space is going.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot happening. There's some that I'm uh, like behind the scenes that I'm privy to and working on that you know, could be the game changer. There's a lot you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Like there could be something that could be like the next the Facebook of music. But you know, there's a platform called Fanbase, which basically is sort of like that. It's a Black-owned social media platform, which allows people to like upload, I think 30-second videos. It's called Fanbase. I just found out about it a couple weeks ago, and it's sort of taking back control. And I love supporting, you know, minority. I think there's a new term. I just saw it yesterday. I think it's being called the new majority, which is, you know, Latin American, black people, African Americans, but the new majority. So I love supporting the new majority in these endeavors. But like you said, on Voisey in particular, I found out about that from another community I'm part of, and I have now over 300 not beats, more sort of beats, instrumentals. Some don't have drums, it's like piano strings, but I have over 300 tracks up on Voisey alone. And I found some great singers, songwriters, collaborators through that platform. But even something like TikTok, I just posted a clip on Instagram today. I'm not a rapper, but I started doing like open verse challenges, and Pharrell had one up, and I'm like, Virginia, Pharrell, of course it was a cash in, cash out beat, and I wrote a verse to it, uploaded it.
Crazy.
It's already like it's at 1,000 views on Instagram. So it's just I'm not a rapper, but like people are like, yo, you should do it. I'm like, I like making beats.
But I'm not a rapper though.
But I'm not a rapper though. But bars. So I got
bars.
But bars. I've done like about 15 or 20 open verse challenges over the last month. So just started just to take a break from like the orchestral stuff, the work and trailer stuff. I'll be like, okay, let me sit down and write a verse real quick and see what happens. But yeah. So there's that, and then the other thing on the music creation side that I saw a lot of at NAMM is Dolby Atmos, which is crazy. If you don't know Dolby Atmos, is basically you know, music used to be mono, like one sound, and then it became stereo, and that's when you start hearing like the Beatles started testing out. Sorry, my alerts are going crazy, but that's when like the Beatles and Motown, they started testing out putting like drums on the left and all the vocals on the right. They started playing with the stereo field. Now we're getting back to that space with Dolby, where you have basically 360 degrees. You can put the hi-hats behind someone's head and it still sounds like, you know, still in the headphones like that, but they're playing with this Dolby Atmos and spatial mixing. There was a couple cars at NAMM. There was a Tesla that had like 36 speakers in it. And I'm like, this sounds great, but what if an ambulance passes by? like you know, what if I'm getting pulled over? I'm not gonna hear the cops because the music is blasting. Shout out to Mixed by Ali, who has a platform called Engineers. That's, for those who don't know, Kendrick Lamar's engineer, mixed by Ali.
Ali. Yeah.
Engineers was able to meet up with him at NAMM, and he had some great interviews with some great producers, engineers, and he had a Dolby Atmos booth where you could sit in the seat and they would play music, and then they would hit the button to switch it to Dolby Atmos, and it was like music is like coming all around you, like it's insane.
Cool.
So I think that's the future of sort of the production side. As far as plugins, there's a new company that personally I have a personal relationship with. It's called Mixing Night Audio. They have what I call the best UI in any plugin ever. The plugin is called
Say that
Greenhouse.
again.
Mixing Night Audio. It's the name of the company. The plugin is called Greenhouse, Greenhaas. And the company, one of the founders, his name is Ken Lewis. And what's crazy is I saw a video years ago where Henny the Business was working with Ken Lewis, showing him like how to mix track like on the iPad using Beatmaker 3, I think it was. But Ken has over 100, I think he's at 110 gold and platinum records to his name. He's mixed on every Kanye record before the gospel era. He's mixed on every BTS record. He had his resume is like the craziest resume ever, like hip hop, rock, pop, R&B. And I linked up with him because I posted a video online years ago about finding remix contests, and he was looking for that content for his community. And he reached out to me, and I did a segment on his show, and that sort of turned into I do a segment on every show for the last 2 years of finding free plugins and things like that. So shout out to Ken Lewis, a great guy also, but he started this company called Mixing Night Audio, and they released this plugin called Greenhouse, which is the best. It's like if you look at the UI, it's a fun plugin. Like,
it looks like a little kid who could like figure this thing out. Yeah.
It's like plants and flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no numbers, no. Yeah, it's just a fun. You just play with knobs and it just makes sounds. And then there's a bunch of presets. I also have some great presets in there. So I think getting back to the fun UI.
Oh man, that looks like a game.
Right? You see this joint? This looks fun.
Yeah,
it looks like your kids can come around, click that.
Like a Fruit Ninja.
Exactly.
You remember that?
So yeah, I think if plugin developers can get back to having more fun with the design of the plugin, like if the design is that fun, it almost doesn't matter what it does or doesn't do, because it's like, hey, I'm having fun twisting this knob, or like you said, let my kids come up and push any button you want. We'll see what happens. So yeah, I think that's the big thing. And then integrating, especially those of us in the iOS space, integrating more. I use the iPad, but even if I'm using Logic, you have Logic Remote on the iPad where you can control like Logic from the iPad or iPhone. So integrating more your iPad, if you have a tablet or any type of device, with your desktop, it works a little bit better on Apple stuff as opposed to Microsoft and Google. But yeah, so I think integrating more the different technologies we have, like if you could be able to hit record on, if you have an Apple Watch and be in a whole nother room, and adjust takes and stuff from your watch, you can do that with the iPad. So there's I think with all the technology that's coming out, to be able to at some point integrate it all together, which is what's happening. We see that happening. I think that's sort of the future of the music side of it. And then the plugins, if they can just keep having more fun with developing, the UIs, and then what they do. Because like I said, we might not need another compressor, but if it's a fun compressor that looks like that, I'll probably download it just because it looks fun.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yo, man, so knowledgeable. You dropped some gems. Now we got some stuff that we got to put up in the link in the description so that people can get some access to it. I'm gonna hit you offline for that secret app. I probably know what it is, man. I got a lot of really good apps. I got, what I'm saying? I got a lot of really good apps that are super amazing. Playground is a really expansive app that's just, you can do so much, and kids can learn and get access like to making music through an interactive art interface, and
cool.
a lot. Yeah. So like there's apps like that. Koala's been a really good app for like sampling. All of the SongGen is an amazing app that's developing right now. There's so many dope like apps that are happening. I'm also excited for these kind of collaborative music platforms like Band Labs and the Sound Traps and the rap chats, right? Where you can actually interact with someone's beat that they upload. Voisey, great one. I put up a beat on Voisey. It was like a '90s beat. It's called '90s Kid, and some brother
Yep.
came through and did
So
wonders
with
on
it.
it.
Yeah.
My man re-sang Family Matters on my '90s beat, and it was
That's
Oh, that's
fire.
crazy.
crazy. It was
Yeah.
crazy. So it's crazy how, like, not only can, as a producer, not only can you find people to collaborate with and discover talent, but you also gotta like
Mhm.
kind of store it and kind of have that network and organize your network. Which is the last question before we tie it out. Like, how do you organize all this stuff? Do you have an Excel sheet? Do you like what like how do you
Yeah.
organize these crazy lists and kind of categorize it? What's your system like?
I use different ones. I don't know. I think just from testing out. So I was using something called Trello for a while. I use that for some of the beta testing organization. I use Google Sheets. I use Airtable for sort of keeping track of some of the music stuff, but mostly Google Sheets. Um, uh,
Respect, Airtable, let's go.
yeah, yeah.
I
I've
rock
used
with
I've used
it.
a lot, even with work. Like we've used like Trello and Rike and all kinds of different platforms. So they're all basically the same. You can use Excel spreadsheets. I don't really use Microsoft products much. Um, like I use Google a lot more, like Google Docs, Google Sheets, whatever. Um,
Yeah.
Right.
so mostly Google Sheets. One thing I didn't mention that, which is a whole nother conversation, is about the future of sort of the music production and plugin space. Um, is how it will somehow, how will it relate to blockchain, NFT, crypto? Like, can you
Oh
buy
yeah.
plugins with crypto in the future? Can you manage your licenses for plugins? Right now, you have iLock, which is great for sort of managing licenses, or you have native access. And then some of the plugin developers, such as Heaviosity, have their own installers. So, is there a way to sort of manage those licenses on the blockchain, or maybe use crypto to purchase, plugins? That'll probably be way down the line. There is a platform, I forgot the name of it, but there was a platform that I found out a couple weeks ago that is a music production platform. I have to find a name. It might be Algorand. It lets you create music on the blockchain, and then I don't know exactly how it works. And then there's things like Audius, which is basically like SoundCloud, but
Yeah.
Yeah. We know
you
audience.
get you get paid in crypto or whatever
Mm-hmm.
for streams.
And
So
there's no
there's all these
ads.
platforms, no ads. Yeah, I love that. So what I really need is a platform like DistroKid to also push music to Audius and to like SoundCloud, so that I just have one upload thing. I just upload it to DistroKid and I can still push it to all these places. So right
Mm-hmm.
now I do upload to SoundCloud and Audius and DistroKid, but it's like and Bandcamp. So it's like you got 4 different uploads sites, and if DistroKid could push it to all of them, that would be like the best of all worlds. So DistroKid, if
Right,
you're
right.
listening,
Kind of like a
please.
metadata, a
He said, "DistroKid,
centralized
if you're
metadata.
listening, hold on, let him do his
Yeah, no,
pitch."
no, DistroKid if you're listening. Add Bandcamp, add Audius, add SoundCloud to your platform. I know there's some things on the back end that might prevent that from happening, but just add these
Listen,
platforms so that I only have one point of rate. I'll even
I
say you
feel
can
it.
raise the price another $2-3 annually, if you need that to add those platforms. But I just it takes time to upload to different sites. So
Yeah.
You
it's
preaching
an
to the choir
investment.
because
Yeah.
Brittany heads up playlisting and is
Oh
uploading
yeah. Yeah.
consistently across the
It's
board. Real quick, I just want
That's
to
a job.
nod
Yeah, that's
to
literally a job.
yeah.
yeah.
Tell me about
For,
it.
I just want to point out, Brittany loves it when people pitch on air. Like, she
Oh yeah.
loves
Yeah.
pitches on
Listen, you
air.
don't get what you don't ask for. You know what I'm saying? So I want to
I
make that. I want
yeah.
we're gonna clip that out. We're gonna tag DistroKid. Maybe they have no
Of course.
idea that like this is what the people want. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we gonna make it work.
Yeah,
We're
I've
gonna do
I've,
what it
I've
do.
talked to I've tried to like reach out to them, and I think shout out to Shay Pope. I think he's a advisor at DistroKid. I've been like, yo, Shay, I need these features. So I try to find people at the company, because right now, another like and I'm working on a networking course, so that doing things like this helps me sort of figure out what I'm going to put in my networking course. But right
Mm,
now, instead of like saying I want to connect with Apple, because Apple is vague, it's a brand, it's a company. No, you
right?
got to find Bob at Apple. You got to find Jill. You got to find the person at Apple to connect to. Like Airbit is
Mhm.
great, but you know what's better? Kwesi, Brittany at Airbit. Because the
Yeah.
brand is like a vague entity. But if you can find people you could talk to at the company, which is why I go into these things like NAM. I also went to Full Sail and I went to Hall of Fame earlier this year, Full Sail University. So going to like a Hall of Fame week, going to NAM or AES or these different meetups or Durango for Sync, or these different conventions around the world. You got to be there in person. You can do virtual if needed, but for some things you got to get out there in person,
Mhm.
and literally shake hands and kiss babies.
Yeah.
uh,
No, I like that. It's networking with a purpose.
yeah.
Kind of.
So
You're not
even
like
when I
yeah.
and even when I do things like this, when it's posted, what I do is go through and get the timestamps of, okay, we talked about Henny at the 10-minute mark, so I'm gonna chop that up. I'm gonna send it, or just
Mhm.
get the timestamp and say, yo, Henny, check the 10-minute mark. We're talking about you. So there could be 100 different brands we talked about in this thing, and I'm gonna go through and maybe not all of them, but at least some of them, hit them up and be like, yo, had a great chat. We talked about you a little bit of this discussion. And that's another way to keep building that
Absolutely.
relationship with those companies and those producers, those engineers. Like,
Don't worry, we got you on some of the
there
timestamps. So you don't gotta do too much work. We'll make sure
you go.
we'll make sure you get what you need.
Yeah. And lastly, to this point where you're pointing to something that's been a topic of discussion with a couple
Mhm.
companies. One company, PEX, is actually trying to work on centralizing metadata and creating like a new kind of file that's a metadata that can go across the board, right?
Mhm.
So that once you upload once, and then if you want to push it to whatever platforms, they accept that type of file that
Yeah.
verifies that was you that uploaded it, right?
Yeah.
So we can also see the future blockchain probably doing something of this sorts as well, right? With ledgers and smart contracts and what have you.
Mhm.
Yo, thank you so much for pulling up. This is like, I feel like we can go for hours of, like, you know what I'm saying? We can go for
Yeah.
days. Where can we find you? Where can folks
Yeah.
find you, and how can we just share your link if you're working on anything specifically that you want to hype up? Let us know, man, and let the people know.
Um, Two things actually. I'll share the link. Before that, I'll just lay out maybe three free plugins that I really like using. So for those that like, they only came for that. Check out Spitfire Audio Labs, LABS. And if you use Logic, let me know because I have a free Logic template that you can use with Labs. It's basically almost 300 instruments for free. Piano Book is also run by the founder of Spitfire Audio. They founded it. Pianobook.co.uk. I think they just hit 1,000 plugins, all free. So you can go there, you can search, say, hey, I want strings, and then all the strings will show up. It's called pianobook.co.uk. And they're all user generated libraries. So let's say you play guitar, you're like, I just want to sample my guitar and make my own library. You can put it up on Piano Book and give it out to the world for free. So
Mm,
Labs, Piano Book. Another one, another Spitfire Audio. I'm a huge fan of Spitfire Audio. They have one called BBC SO Discover. It's a full orchestra free plugin that you can use. Heaviosity, they make some great drum plugins and things like that. But they have a free series called Foundations. So look up Heaviosity Foundations. Right now they have staccato strings. I think they have a piano, and then they keep adding more. So those are the ones that really come to mind off top. Labs, Piano Book, BBC SO Discover, and then the Foundation series by Heaviosity. There are tons more, thousands more, as you can see from the the free channel in the Discord group. So but yeah, those are sort of like the go-to. Like if I'm trying to get a sound, like, hey, I want a banjo sound, let me go to these sources first to see if there's a free, like high quality version instead of paying $100 for a banjo library. And then
mm.
sometimes there's something else that's free out there that you can use for that. And then of
Yeah,
course
because how
Google,
often
just
are you
Google.
using a banjo?
Yeah. Unless you're doing like an album, then maybe you want to invest in it, or you're working on a film or something that they're like, yeah, we want this whole soundtrack to be banjo inspired. Then you might
Yeah.
want to invest in it. And then when you're buying stuff, don't think of it as buying. I actually posted this to my newsletter. Think of it as investing, because when you think
Hmm.
of buying, you really don't think of getting much of a return. You're like, hey, I'm gonna buy. Like we went to NAM. We bought our tickets to Disney, even though there was an experience and everything there. But I invested the money for NAM. Like we invested
Right.
the flight to California, and like thinking about it that way, I'm like, okay, how can I get the most out of this? by connecting with companies, artists, producers, engineers, making those connections that could maybe be something down the road, career-wise or relationship-wise or network-wise. So think of things as investments, and then think about how you can get a return on that investment when you're buying like plugins or laptops or iPads or whatever. So to answer your question though, if you go to this is another platform I could talk all day about. It's called Koji, Koji. Go to koji.to/DaFingaz, koji.to/DaFingaz. I need to update it, but you'll see all my links there. My social media links will be at the bottom of that. And you'll see some music stuff I posted there. But koji.to/DaFingaz is the best link for sort of everything there.
Right on.
Fire.
Yo, DaFingaz just lit it up right now, yo. It feels good to put a face to the fingers.
There you go. The face. The face to the fingers.
You know what I mean? Like you've been active in the Discord. It's been really dope. We really appreciate. I've seen some really dope plugins that you pointed to, and so thank you for just adding value, right? Because that's what it's all about. Yep. And I could see that you get that, and you know, it leads to us wanting to just kind of highlight and zoom in to you and your world and push what you're doing through our network as well, because and you know that's something that keeps giving back, right? It's a gift that keeps giving back. And so thank you for providing value. Thank you for being in the Discord, being a part of the Airbit community as well. And thanks for your knowledge. And I'm gonna definitely be hitting you up offline, man. For some extras. Britt, how about you?
Right. Nah, man, just same thing. Appreciate the activity, your knowledge, your time. Thank you for hopping on. This is a really great segment, and I actually learned a lot more than I thought I was going to learn. So it's great. This is awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you too, and shout out to the Airbit team. Shout out to both of you. Shout out to S1, Sick with it. I've been watching the Airbit the YouTube videos and like learning, taking notes. I'm like publishing and all that. So it's like just always be learning, because there's always something to learn. Like even the people that I mentioned earlier that have been in the industry for 30, 40 years, they're still learning. They're asking me stuff. I'm like, dude, you've been in the industry for you got 100 gold and platinum records. Like what could I possibly help you with? But that's the thing, that if you were a creative and you're trying to connect with someone at a different level, at a higher level than you, figure out how you can help them out.
Absolutely.
What you can do, even if it's like, hey, I'll buy you coffee, or I'll buy you lunch. That's something. I'll bring pizza to the studio when I show up.
Get you a gas card.
Gas card. You got to be a millionaire to pay for gas, right?
Man,
for real.
That's crazy.
Yeah, if you want to get into a studio right now, show up with a Shell, gas card at Costco or whatever, and be like, look, this is $50. Just want to hang out, be a fly on the wall. This will get you gas. This might get you home later today or whatever. Show
might
up
get
to the
you
studio
home.
with a gas card. It might get you home. You might get halfway home. Show up to the studio with a gas card for the engineer, for the owner, and see what happens.
You might get you home. That's crazy, man. DaFingaz, NoTv. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it, Marcus. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. So that's gonna wrap up this week's episode of NoTv. Kwesi, do you have any announcements for us?
Yeah. Be sure to check out Firebeat Friday this Friday. It is West Coast theme. We are in summertime. Hey, we trying to be outside. Outside on the west side. It's the West Coast. So if y'all got definitely bring that West Coast vibe, that summertime fly energy for this Firebeat Friday. We want to make this theme Firebeat Friday the joint right here. So that's this Friday. Next Wednesday, August 3rd, is the Beat Battle Light. Following that will be August 10th. That Wednesday will also be the official Beat Battle. So y'all that have been battling, hey man, congratulations to all those that have been doing it this year. This has been the year that we've reactivated beat battles here at Airbit. So it's always exciting to be a part of it and kind of join the Airbit team and see them go live with OB and Sick. And so this, I'm sure, this one's about to be a wild. It's gonna be the wild west, yo.
Wild West Side.
It's wild west side. That's really what it is. You already know. But yeah, and check out for the next episode of NoTv. That'll be following next Monday. So appreciate y'all. Appreciate you, Brittany. Thank you for doing what you do best.
Always.
Yeah.
I'll let y'all next week.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Be easy.
Take care.